Fucking
you
any
know,
other top coach sees
ate
some
my
shit like
dinner.
that. To me, that's fucking
Gonna
crazy.
go bowling after this.
I don't know, like.
Yeah. This is gonna be our bowling team logo. Discord. Show your screen.
Oh, that's your dick.
Very funny.
Got scared though, didn't you?
No, I do not have my dick anywhere on my computer, so I don't know how that would be possible. Right here, somebody donated $3, and said that their name is Rambo Stinks.
That's hilarious. That's funny.
I love it. I fucking love it. I love it, bro. I did some homework. Let me tell you. When I say it, I want you to see. This is all clips I pulled out.
Okay. Yeah.
Clips to discuss. Okay, I did some homework. I went straight fucking mogul mail on this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. One of the screens looked like what was that Rambo's bowling scores or no?
Yeah. I pulled up his average from last season.
Actually?
You know? No.
You know how funny that'd be, bro?
That'd be too good though, wouldn't it? So this is after Dashy went on his rant.
Yeah.
Ben Nissim or whatever started watching the VOD of his rant and then got Dashy on a call with him.
Yeah.
Which is just outstanding. I love it. Dashy made the comment in his rant that Rambo's dipping out to go bowling, right? And then Rambo replies and he says what Dashy fails to specify is that one night I left prior to the last map, not the last series, the last map of the scrim. And JP was still present and recording, so he watched the VOD later and then proceeded to do the same job as he always does, you know, sharing his thoughts and working on bettering the team. Dashy's like, basically, he says straight out, it's not one night. It's at least every other week.
Yeah.
Like every 2 weeks or so, he's dipping out. And it makes sense because being somebody that was in a bowling league from the time I was 8 years old until I was 18 years old, for 10 years straight, we bowled every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Every single Saturday morning for from like May to August.
I was crazy.
So I can vouch for that. The facts back up what he's saying. If it's not every week, it's every other week.
Yeah.
That he's got a bowling event. Now, I'm not saying he did cut out early for every single one of those. You know what I mean? Because maybe that night or on occasion, the scrims ran longer than he was expecting.
Yeah.
Right? But if you know you're supposed to scrim from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. every day, don't go into it blind thinking that I have bowling league every Wednesday at 7 p.m. There's no shot that I'm ever late for that.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Like people are going to have connection issues. It's Call of Duty. It's online. It's fucking stuff's going to get chalked. It's going to happen. So you've got to account for that. I get it. Like, oh, he's allowed to go to his bowling league because it's at 7 o'clock at night. You could make that argument. But at the same time, if my shift for work is from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., I'm accounting for at least an hour on the front and back into that. So if that's my schedule, then my calendar's blocked out from like 11:30 or 12 until 7 or 8. This is just personal opinion, but as a coach, as a head coach, an assistant coach, whatever, you're generally going to be working longer than the players. So if you're scheduling your players from 1 to 6, that means you as the coach is probably going from 10 or 11 until 8 or 9. Or you should be. Because you have more work to do than they do.
Yeah.
Because you have to go over what happened that day, prep for the next day, what you're going to present, what you're going to find, the issues you're going to look at, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't just happen in that little window of when they're actually playing. Or you work it out where like, hey, every Wednesdays I have something else that I'm trying to do. So if it ever goes past 6 p.m. from that time moving on, it will be the assistant coach so-and-so that will be helping you. That's part of my scheduling.
Yeah.
It can't just be like we ran long. All right, guys, I'm dipping out. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like you did no wrap up with your team. I put my reply on there and I said, you're setting the example and maintaining the standard as the coach, whether it's one night or it's every night. It's your job to perform the way you expect your players to perform. That's just basic leadership skills. I'm sure anybody I say this to would be like, well, what do you know about being a coach for a COD team? Well, I don't know shit about being a coach for a COD team. But what I do know is leadership. 10 years in the military, I made it to the rank of E6 Staff Sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. I led fire teams, I led squads, I led platoons. I was a leader at different levels for 10 years. Got out. I was a leader on a training team, and I was a presenter, a lead instructor. I went from there to being a director. So I was a director of IT and cybersecurity. I've ran my own teams. I've been a leader. I've been a leader from the most stressful level to the most lax and lazy level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where people's lives are on the line, all the way down to, hey, we got to fix these computers. Like, big deal. You know what I mean? Like, nobody gives a shit. I've seen every spectrum of the leadership scale that you can think of. Yeah. And I can tell you that there's been no job I've ever been in where my leader, whether it was the CEO or whether it was a run-of-the-mill everyday person that just happened to be above me.
Yeah.
In no situation was I ever happy to see my leader leave before me to go do something else in their personal life and me to still be working.
Yeah.
Never. Not once. There's no valid reason. Even if my boss came in and was like, hey guys, I got to take off. My friend, my mom, whoever was in a car accident. I've got to go. I'm still not happy they're leaving. And it's not like I'm happy they're leaving because I want them to stay and work. It's just, that's a bad situation. You don't want to see, you're not going to be happy that somebody's leaving for a bad situation. You feel bad for them. You want to make sure everybody's okay. So there's literally almost no scenario where you're happy that somebody above you is leaving early.
Yeah.
And this is their job. This isn't just like me and you sitting here playing video games at night and making content or YouTube videos for fun. Yeah. That's not our job. We can say or do whatever in that time frame. We can play every night, or we can take a week off if we want. It doesn't matter. It's not our job.
I can go bowling.
Yeah, take a night off and go bowling. His response to this doesn't rub me the right way. He was better off not responding at all. Like, he just shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, definitely.
But this isn't the worst response he could have given it, by far. He could have given much worse responses.
Yeah.
But this was a situation where I think he was probably going to be safer and better off just not responding. So, I mean, my only thing would be just don't respond to the trolls in the future. Just ignore them, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, my thing is like, obviously, I think both sides are going to, like, embellish the truth.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Dashy's going to over-exaggerate. Oh, he every week. And then Rambo's going to embellish and say it was one time. And the truth is obviously somewhere in the middle of those two things. Wherever that may lie, honestly, we'll never know unless somebody comes out and, does a tell-all, which, again, I don't think will ever happen. I think that more than him leaving, that irks me, right? Like, him leaving, sure, again, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. It is what it is, I think. I think the memes are funny. I think they're fantastic. But I think more than that, because that's really just like, that's surface level issue. It's not that big of a deal. They recorded the scrim. He watched it, that night or the next day, or hell, maybe while he was fucking bowling. You know what I mean? Who fucking knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Who really knows? I wasn't there. I think the real issue isn't the bowling and leaving, last map for scrims. It's that he's a shitty coach. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, there's a lot of clips of Dashy, like, I think talking to Krem or this guy. It was one of the two of him, like, talking about how he reacts to scrims, and he literally just records the mini-map. Like, that's it. So the bowling is, like, it is what it is. Maybe it was once, maybe it was twice. They have another coach, and Krem said that, like, I think when he was on one of the teams that they had two coaches, and sometimes one coach would sit in, sometimes the other coach would sit in, know. So it really is, it's not that big of a deal that he leaves during bowling. My issue is that he's just not a good coach. He's not a coach.
So I get that, like, you're saying the leaving doesn't really bother you. It's the overall coaching.
Yeah.
The thing that gets me about the leaving, that really, like, the leaving bothers me, is because the reasons they're giving Dashy for why he's being dropped aren't skill-based. They're based on his commitment and his enthusiasm for the game and his meshing with the team. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, if you're going to state somebody's commitment and enthusiasm for the game as a reason you're dropping them, then you can't not take a hard look at your coach and say, okay, well, you're leaving scrims early. 1 or 10 or, 2, it doesn't matter. Like, you prioritized something else over the top of what you're accusing someone else of having no commitment to.
Yeah, I think the real issue is like the whole team in general. I don't know if they just didn't mesh well. And he said that he was bad vibes during Vanguard.
Yeah,
He
he
was
did.
like,
He said he was toxic.
yeah, toxic as fuck during Vanguard, blah, blah, blah. He's a young player. He's a talented player. He is growing as a person. Probably one of the best to fucking do it at the end of the day. And I mean, fucking Scump went through this shit when he was young. He fucking left Optic for like a fucking month because they lost the tournament and he threw a fucking hissy fit. Scump went through this. Everyone's gone through this. Nate Shot went through this. I feel like most players go through this like growing pain where they're pissy and they're moody and they're just fucking, they just want to win and it's tiresome and it's just annoying. And to fault him for that, I think is typical COD, team. Oh, we don't vibe or just drop him, whether or not he's the best person, player to fucking touch the sticks. Oh, we don't vibe, let's just drop him. That's fine. It is what it is. I do believe that he is passionate. Straight up, if you're gonna find players for being late, you need to set a marker for that, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever that is. If you want to find players, you also need to find people for fucking leaving early. You can't. You go to work. Guess what? You clock in late, you get in trouble. You clock out early, you get in fucking trouble.
Yeah.
He wasn't that talented of a player when he did play. Honestly, he wasn't a star of any sort. He's a mediocre player. He's again top 1% of the top 1%. Don't get me wrong. He was a professional.
Yeah.
Better than me. In his prime, probably beat my ass. Now I'm putting him in the dirt. I'll wax him in COD and bowling. Come at me, bro.
Yeah.
Shit on your life. You can't just, I don't know.
That is a pretty clean strike that he throws there in that clip, though.
Honestly, yeah, it is clean. It is clean. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right about that. It is clean. But like, it's weird to like punish people for being late to scrims and then you're just gonna dip out early. It's weird to me. I don't really get that. Just don't dip out. Just have JP. Just have him sit in that night. Hey, JP's gonna take over tonight. I got fucking bowling league because I'm a loser. No offense to you for bowling for 10 years. It's weird.
I didn't say I was proud of it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to do in your 30s. I don't know. It's strange. Are you a professional?
Right.
I don't know. It's strange.
Yeah, don't get me started on that. I bowled from the time I was 8 until I was 18. There's a reason I stopped at 18.
You got no puss. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's just weird to me to leave early. To me, it's strange.
True.
It's a vibe kill to me. It's also weird for the team. If Dashy is telling the truth, like, hey, what's going on here, guys? Like, is this normal? Is this okay? For them not to speak up is very fucking strange to me. But again, I think that's a lot of animosity from like Vanguard and his attitude, quote unquote, which again is a weird thing to be upset about.
That leans into why run it back? If you're going to drop Ilya and Dashy in the offseason, why run it back if you can't get past the toxicity that he had in Vanguard? If you really don't believe or you're not going to treat him like he's going to do better, don't run it back.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I 100% agree with what you're saying. If they're going to fine Dashy for coming in late, there should be a fine or some kind of punishment for Ray for leaving early.
Yeah. And like I said, I get like them wanting to what's it called? Like run it back. Scott probably just wanted like a stressless season. In theory, it's easier, but then you get this in.
Yeah, and there's no way they didn't see something like this coming. So the next one is Dashy talking about the minimap VODs. So for context as well, the reason he started off by saying, was there a lot of VOD watching during this time, or were you just bullshitting warming up? He's talking about specifically having to show up at 12 when scrims start at 1. He's asking about that time frame in between.
Yeah. In the 12th one, we started watching VOD, but it's so hard to watch VODs when you're literally looking at a minimap. It's insane. Like it's like wherever, like it's just like a.
So wait, hold on. So we only recorded the minimap?
Dude, like it's fucking crazy.
Like full screen minimap?
Dude, full screen minimap. Because in the game, you could literally only watch the minimap. It's a setting. Like so, you could actually just literally black out the entire POVs and only show the scoreboards in the minimap. And then when we're watching the VOD, it's like, dude, 2 needs to be helping 4, and then 1 needs to block the. I'm like, what the fuck? We're like chess pieces, bro. Like we're not even talking. I'm like, bro, and I would be 1 in the situation. I'd be like, dude, I was throwing a trophy. We called for a trophy. It's P3 on fucking embassy or some shit, or I was a kill off streaks. There's nothing in the moment situational that's like ever playing into factor. Like you were 1 shot or your teammate called for help or anything. Because the VOD's also muted. Well, not this year, but last year it was. But
So this goes back to what you started to talk about earlier. Watching minimap VODs.
Go to the chat where you put our hardpoint in. Our hardpoint maps. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Can you switch that and like show that? So there was one. Where is it? Scroll up. Maybe it's not in here. Yeah, click that. Just click that top one. Click that top one. So you have like, it's not good. It's literally triangles with like numbers over the players. Like there's no, it doesn't tell you. In a lot of the mini maps, it doesn't even show a lot of times. Like it just has like a basic color for everybody. So I definitely see like Dashy's point of view. Like if you showed me a game of just the mini map of God, I wouldn't be able to tell you what to do better or what to do worse. I can tell you where people spawned. It doesn't help with the situations of like maybe you could have done this better here or this better here, or like you could hold like this angle or that angle, because like I think there's a clip where Dashy's talking. I think with this guy, how he's like on like third story of a building and there's a guy on first story, and then he's like, "Why didn't you kill that guy?" It's like, we're literally not looking at each other. You're a fucking idiot.
We have no idea that we're both in the same area.
Yeah, in my head, this is just me. What that comes to me is Rambo just wants to watch one screen, and he doesn't want to take the time to actually watch everybody's individual VODs.
Just in doing MS Paint and creating these rotation maps, I considered that fact right here.
Yeah, definitely.
I have bottom floor, top floor, and annotated with arrows. So like here, hill 2 with the down arrow is bottom floor. Hill 6 with the up arrow is top floor.
Yeah.
So you have to realize there's 2 floors to this building. So like if you're watching a mini map, just because there's 2 people in this building does not mean they're at all in the same area.
Yeah, exactly. And so to me, hearing that, if that is true that Rambo's doing that, just literally staring at a mini map, he's lazy. He's just being lazy, and he doesn't want to watch 4 different point of views.
I love that he said too that the VODs were muted, at least last year. Like he saw somebody go through tunnel, so one's coming alley side, and your alley guy's watching this way and then dies from middle. You're not gonna hear or know that he said, "I saw one go tunnel." You're gonna be like, "Why the fuck are you over here watching alley when you're supposed to be here watching middle? Like you fumbled the ball here." Well, no, the call out was that 2 pushed through tunnel. I need to stop this alley push from happening from 2 people. Yeah. But you're not going to know that if it's muted. So like, it's not helpful. So you know by looking at the mini map that these 2 guys, these 2 orange ones, are actually just holding here. But he doesn't. So he's just sitting here for 10 seconds, holding this alley, waiting for somebody to peek. And you're like, why are you still here?
Yeah.
When you should be here because these guys are pushing up mid. Well, that was the call out, and you don't know. So that leads into the next 2 clips here. And this for me was very fishy, and I wanted to bring it up to you and get your thoughts.
Okay.
For 2 reasons. One, because it clearly shows the differences in perspective or the differences in like what's being reported.
Yeah.
And 2, it shows how they kind of just like went about this whole thing in what I would consider a shady way. Like you're saying, and even Dashy said, if they would have just came to him and said, "Hey man, we want to make a change, it's got to be you," then he would have been like, "Cool, I respect that." Yeah, but like they gave him a whole bunch of BS reasons and stuff and everything, and it feels it made it, even if they weren't looking for a scapegoat, it makes it feel like they're looking for a scapegoat because they weren't just straightforward with them. So I'm gonna play this clip, and then I'm gonna play this clip back to back because this first part is the important part.
We had like an hour call with him, us 3, and
that part right there.
Yeah.
We had an hour call with him, us 3.
It was fucking not fun.
Yeah.
And not a lot came from it, honestly, but I mean, it was a long conversation, and we had a talk at the start of the year, and we laid it out on the table. Like, this is what we expect from everybody. This is what we want this year. If we don't get it, there's going to be fucking problems. There were problems, and that's as simple as it was. That's why I wanted Ray to say it's not performance-based, because it's not performance-based at all.
Which leads into this.
Them since then or no?
Yeah, it was. I was in a call with Seth and Ant, and then I got to address this too. People thought Ray was in the call. Ray didn't even call me. Like it was literally Seth and Ant, and then they were talking to me for 40 minutes, and then it was the 40 minutes was like the reasoning, and I was just
So 2 different stories.
Yep.
About who was in the call. So one, first of all, in this situation, there is absolutely, in my opinion, there is no benefit to Dashy from him saying that Ray wasn't in the call. That does not make him look better. That does not make him more viable. There's no reason for him to really make that clear other than basically just saying Ray wasn't in the call. He didn't participate in it. So I tend to believe Dashy in this situation. Again, you're going to see the trend here. Things are compiling. You're cutting out early. You're not holding yourself accountable to the same standards that you hold your players accountable to. You're lazy with the VODs. And then when somebody's getting fired, you're not even the one to be there to fire them.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting benched, somebody's underperforming, somebody's having a personal issue, somebody's not vibing, somebody's got an attitude problem that needs to be checked. Whatever it is, you as the coach, your main priority, your main job as the coach. You're not teaching and coaching these guys how to play this game. They're the pros. They know how to play this game.
Yeah.
You're not teaching them how to play the game. That's not your job. Your job is to solve these issues like this, address these issues like this, and help any way you can to progress the team forward. And I get it. Optic's very family-based. They're very team-based. They've always been that way. Even Scump talks about it several times over the last couple of years and stuff with the podcast and all that. They're very team-oriented in how they make decisions.
Sorry, I opened up Dashy's Twitter to try to find this, and he tweeted 2 hours ago, VOD night, baby. Let me lock in, and it's just a picture of a mini map.
Yeah.
I'm actually just dead. That's hilarious. But, that's so funny. He said, locking in, baby. But what really gets me is, so I know that they have like a really good friendship, a really good, whatever you want to call it. And then on top of that, in like the most recent roundtable or inner circle, podcast that Optic does, Formal goes on like a 3-minute rant of basically how fucking useless COD coaches are. And that just in my head, when I watched that and then saw all this, solidified that I believe that Formal also thinks that Rambo's fucking useless and not doing a fucking thing for the team.
Yeah.
And that just makes me believe Dashy even more.
So, the fact that he's not in a call to bench Dashy, and I 100% believe that he wasn't in the call if Dashy said it. And again, this is just my opinion. We weren't there. We don't know for facts. Scump said he was. Dashy said he wasn't. And as a manager, as a team leader, as somebody who has leadership experience, I am never letting one of my guys get bad news and me not be there.
Yeah.
Period. Take coach out of the equation. He's a GM.
Yeah.
I'll say it, and it might be a hot take, but it irks me a little bit, and I can understand both sides of this, what I'm about to say. I can understand why he wasn't, but at the same time, it bugs me that Hex was not in the call. Because as a CEO or a GM, one or the other, if not both, should be in the call for a player getting cut from your team.
Yeah, I agree.
So if Hex wasn't going to be able to be in the call because of other business or whatever, then that is literally the GM's job, is to replace Hex in those type of situations, to stand in for him, to convey their thanks, their gratitude, their, dismay for having to drop this player or whatever the situation may be. They represent the company of Optic Gaming. They should be there. And if he wasn't there, not only as the coach, but he also wasn't there as the GM.
Yep.
That to me is just...
honestly though, Gadget, he was probably just
bowling. Yeah, 100%. He's probably at his bowling league when the call happened, and that's on Scump and Shotzi for scheduling the call when bowling league was going on. You know what I mean?
Sure.
The next 3 is about Dashy talking about Ray's coaching. So this gets more into what you were talking about of him not being a good coach, and a little bit about what I was talking about because it's the negativity thing. So this is fun.
It doesn't matter if we win, lose, positive or negative. He's bringing up something. It doesn't matter. Usually half the time, if we're all vibing, he's bringing up a negative right away. Like, oh, dude, what the fuck? Like, I think he hates it for all vibing or some shit. Because I remember we won the map 250-60, and then he instantly brought up the fact that, like, oh, what the fuck? We did trolled on this hill, blah blah blah. I'm like, trolled? Like, we had 60 points. How the fuck could we troll anything? You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it was just
I agree with
in his
that.
world, like they got 60, they could get 0, bro. COD, there's no world where you 250-0 anybody in a CDL match. That's not even remotely possible, bro. Like, you know.
I mean, if you're playing people running out of like riot shields, like random pop
dude,
kits,
they have to play with riot shield and no hands. Also, like
unless you're Optic, they got 250-0 technically. First time in CDL history.
First time CDL history, yeah. because they forfeited.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the negativity part. That goes back to what I was saying earlier of like, you don't come at your players sideways. You don't, especially if they're coming off a 250 to 60, or if they 100-point club somebody. I don't care. There's not a negative thing that you say. I don't care if they fucked up every rotation and lost half their gunfights. If they managed to still 100-point club the other team, I'm hyping them the fuck up. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, y'all ran that map. Y'all put them motherfuckers in the dirt. Like, that's good on you. Next map, boys. Let's move. Let's keep moving. After that day's over, after that series, or the day, or the whole ass tournament, depending on which, series it is, you find the positive in it and you hype up the positive.
Yep.
That's just basic coaching. You're not going to get anywhere telling your guys, like, imagine Super Bowl in 17, where you go into halftime with the Falcons leading the Patriots by 3 touchdowns, and then the Patriots come out after halftime and they run it back and beat the Falcons by 2 touchdowns or however much it was. Then they end of the game, they go in the locker room, and Bill Belichick walks in and goes, "What the fuck were y'all doing in the first half?"
Yeah.
You think anybody gives a shit?
Yeah.
They won the game, bro.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they had like a ridiculous comeback. Like, you can't focus on the negative. Well, he's trying too hard to be like a Kobe or some shit, where it's like, oh, we just got to keep winning. And I get that's probably what he was going for, was like, this is great, but we need to keep this going. But he should have said that. This is great. Yeah. Hey, this is awesome. We love this for our fans. We love this for the Green Wall, and we want to keep this going. So let's keep it going. But instead, he said, this doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, in what world was that the right response in your head? But even in the process, throughout that whole process, where the one they did on them winning the major.
Yeah.
If you watch the parts where he's in between sets, in between games, in that 5-minute break, he was like, those maps don't matter. Whether they won or lost, he said the same thing every time. Those maps don't matter. It's all about the next map. Like, we play together, we play as a team, these guys can't beat us. Like, yeah, that shit went hard. Like, the first time I watched that process, and he gave his little speech to them, like, hey, if we play tight, play as a team, and play to our level, these guys can't touch you guys.
Yep.
The first time I heard it, I was like, yo, that went hard. Like, that's good shit. But then he said it like 5 more times. The same shit. And I was like, oh, that's just the only thing he's got.
Yeah.
That's
it.
That's,
he knows how to say.
That's all he's got. So it's like, he's not giving them any real advice between games. He's not giving them any information. Like, if I'm the coach, I'm never going to be a Call of Duty coach. So it's not realistic. But let's say I was the coach. They played the first 2 maps. They won, they lost, they won both, they lost both. I don't care. They go back for that 5-minute break. I'm walking back there, and you're all about the next map. Then you don't walk back there and say, none of that matters. It's all about the next 2 maps or whatever. You walk back there and say, hey, good shit, boys. You're playing tight. Listen, we've got Bocage and Berlin coming up, or we've got whatever, Hotel and Mercado coming up. Remember, we're focusing on these 2 hard points. They're really good at breaking this one hard point, so let's make sure we keep it locked down, keep it tight, make your comms, focus on your rotations, lock down the lanes, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about the next 2 maps.
Yeah.
That they're about to go play. If the first 2 don't matter, then don't even talk about them. Give them their hype up. Hey, good shit, boys. Hey, Shotzi, you broke that kid's ankles and got that 2-piece. You put him in the dirt, kid. Keep it up. You know what I mean? All right, next 2 maps are these. Remember, this is the stuff we talked about. Y'all talked about seeing this happen all the time, and we went over how to, break this point. We went over how to hold this point. Keep that in the back of your minds and go fry. I'm pushing them mentally towards the next 2 maps.
Yep. 100%.
I'm not making them go backwards and think about how shitty or unimportant the last 2 were. Because what if one of those first 2 maps were one that was a map they had been losing consistently all year, and they finally won it, and then you walk backstage and go, that don't matter.
Yep.
No, that did matter. You know what I mean? Like, that's your job as the coach to identify, hey, we've been losing fucking Mercado every time we played it this year, and they just 250 to 210 those kids. I'm walking straight backstage and going, that's how we do it. That's why we do the practice. Good job, guys. All right, next 2 maps are this. You pick something good that happened, you focus on that, you get the morale to a positive side of the spectrum. If it's not already there, if it's already there, then you amp up that positivity. And then you focus that into what they need to remember for the next 2 maps. That's your job as the coach. So coming in negative and being like, I know y'all just 250 to 60 those kids, but y'all totally fumbled the ball on this hill.
Yeah.
That's not helping anyone.
Drop Rambo as the coach. Throw a Hail Mary, pick up Crim 6. I don't know, man. Like,
oh, now you're trolling. I mean? Now you're trolling.
What do you mean? He's one of the best to do it.
I mean, this is him airing out like the bad scrim results. So
I never played for a coach also that literally just aired all my scrim results to literally like half the fucking league or not half the league, just to literally the entire community. If we had a bad week of scrims, raise the first one on the podium on a stream and shit, like fucking saying, oh dude, like we're not getting it. Like for me, that's insane, bro. Like you know what I mean? Like, bro, like if I'm a coach, I'm never saying anything negative on my team publicly. You know what I mean? Like they're the competition, you know what I mean? And you're just sitting there.
So let's talk on this because.
And then so he says, let's talk on it. And then, which is good because he goes on to make a point that like some people respond to that type of coaching or whatever. Like it's a motivator.
Yeah.
And everything. And so Dashy gives his take on like the negative effects of sharing those results.
Like that's huge though, because it's not like something small. Like, dude, imagine, I don't know, I just look at it different. If I'm playing a team and I'm like unsure about how they're doing or just how they've been performing or anything, and then their coach just a week before just says they've been getting shitty reps and they don't know, they're just unconfident, bro. That's like insanely, like that's such a huge mental edge, bro. This whole esports just all mental, bro. It's like 85% mental. If you're going into the series not 100% like confident, you're gonna get fucking shit on. If you're giving the other team just like the free fucking ammo for confidence, that's just like, that's like you're working against me at that point. You know what I mean?
So thoughts?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with him. It's like it is. I wouldn't say that much mental, but it's a lot of it is mental, you know. Like, and yeah, and I think he goes on to say like he did that before, like champs or something like that, airing all of this out to everybody. It doesn't matter. Like that shit doesn't fucking matter at all, you know. And you're just like you said, like other teams are. Your team is gonna come out of there playing less confident, because you did this. And the other teams are going to come out playing a little more confident because you're not playing so hot. And that mental right there, just that little bit of edge makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
It's like the other day I was telling you, like one of the arguably the greatest chess player of our time and top 3 of all time, Magnus Carlsen, literally went to go play a guy in chess and he was late and the refs like, okay, you're late by this much time, we're just gonna have to start your clock, and if your time runs out and you're not here, you just basically forfeit the match. And homie walked up, sat down, drank a bottle of water. All this whole time his clock is just diminishing, his clock is just disappearing because he's not playing any moves. Drinks a bottle of water, goes to grab a piece, like okay, now he's gonna play, and then lines up his pieces perfectly on the board before he plays his first move. And you could just see in his opponent's eyes, his opponent is immediately checked. His opponent is like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Yeah, like how confident is this guy that he's not even worried about time?
Yeah, and for all we know, Magnus Carlsen could have been super nervous about the match, probably think he's going to lose, and super hungover from the night before. Who fucking knows? You know what I mean? But he just does that, fucking checks the dude out immediately, and then wins the game.
Yeah, he literally took the mental advantage away. Rambo airing out the scrim results gives other teams that confidence of being like, oh, they're not playing well. They're not vibing. They're not meshing as a team. They're not hitting their fundamentals. They're not getting good scrims. Bro, we already got the advantage. This is easy. It's easy. This whole Optic drama thing got me twisted. As an Optic fan, it's just hard to watch.
Yeah,
you know?
I've been an Optic fan for a very, very, very long time, since the Modern Warfare 3 Call of Duty XP. And don't get me wrong, what Hex is like built is
amazing.
Carried this company like the CDL on his back.
Yeah, CWL, CDL, all of them have been pushed.
Yeah, and he I think sometimes he's too focused on his friendships and his loyalties, especially like right now, like with Rambo. I feel like, oh, he's a friend.
I feel like this whole time, Hex is kind of sitting back and watching all this play out before he makes a decision about whether or not Ray is good for the team.
Yeah. I don't think he is good for the team. Just
in my humble, non-professional opinion.
Yeah, he's bad vibes.
Yeah.
He's super bad vibes.
As someone who knows very little about what it is to be in a pro situation for like an esports team, especially like COD, or to coach, or to be a CEO of the organization, I can sit back and say from an outside perspective, if somebody is treating some players different than others, if somebody is throwing negative stuff out at the players, if somebody is slacking off their duties, and somebody is airing out the dirty laundry, those are enough reasons for me to consider getting rid of them. And I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
I don't care what level it's at. If somebody is hurting your organization, it's not good for business.
Yep.
And at this point, with everything that's happened and all this drama, there's no way to twist this into it's good for the organization anymore. When they originally were talking about making a team change, I truly and wholeheartedly believe if they would have came out to Dashy and said, this is, it's not working, and we feel that replacing you would be the fastest and most efficient way for us to make the change we need to make the team successful again, Dashy would have respected that. And then if they'd made the same announcement to the fans, then the fans and the Call of Duty community as a whole would have respected that and understood it as well. Yeah. But it's the perceived shadiness that's involved around all of this, of like them giving BS reasons for dropping Dashy, and then the differences in the stories.
Yeah, I do feel bad for Hook.
Yeah, even in the process, he got like a 15-second clip at the end of the process that was just him going up an elevator and walking out.
Yeah.
They could have done an actual send-off for Dashy. They could have quelled not all, but a lot of this hatred that's coming around right now for dropping Dashy and the way that it's going about, if they would have done an actual farewell piece in the process for Dashy. But they just breezed over that shit. Like it didn't matter. And I think that was a missed opportunity to like smooth out some of the edges.
Yeah.
But I don't think the bowling meme is going to die anytime soon.
As far as like the bowling goes, weird to ask Dashy to uninstall Valorant and focus up on COD because it's Scumpy's last year and Rambo's just bowling on his free time. I thought we weren't allowed to have passions.
Yeah, right? Like, how are you focused on Scumpy's last year with COD if you're focused on bowling?
If you're focused on bowling, yeah. And you can't say, well, that's his hobby. That's what he does on the side. That's what, what Dashy does on the side? He plays Valorant.
Plays video games, yeah.
That's his thing. He likes Valorant. He plays Val. But no, it's different. Hey, if any Optic fans watch this video, you guys are fucking weirdos, man.
Not the real ones. Not the real Optic fans.
Yeah.
It's the fucking bandwagon fans. Or the ones that
are fucking weird.
They're just here for the drama. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Arguably, we're sitting here talking about the drama. Yeah. But as people who have been Optic fans, have been through several other sessions of drama, and we're still here.
Yeah,
and like
ups and quite literally mostly downs of
Optic Gaming. And we're still here, we're still pulling for them. You know what I mean?
I got Huntsman merch, all right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not the ride or die guy that got the Huntsman tattoo. It was a bit early, and then, they canceled the entire team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sucks to be that guy. But I mean, I got the Huntsman merch. I got the Optic merch. I watch all their stuff.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose to get rid of anybody, I would get rid of Optic to save TST. So.
Hey, I do love me some TST.
Yeah, they're just built iffy.
They're the best gaming group, like content creation group, period. Inside or outside of any org. They're just next level.
Segment in the fucking
process was beautiful. Wholesome. Oh, it was so beautiful. Loved it.
Yeah.
They got to show their school and shit. Oh, man.
Crazy, they just walked up in there. I was like, you can't just walk into school like that.
I'm sure they cleared it ahead of time. But still, anyway. That was good shit. I'm happy. I love that TST's doing so well.
Yeah, but to wrap it up, put it on a bow. you have to drop Rambo. I mean, let him GM, let him bowl. You know, I can give him an Optic bowling jersey. I don't fucking give a shit. But he doesn't deserve to be the coach.
Maybe. I'm not even gonna say maybe. At this point, I would say, because even Dashy said it, I would say that replacing out Dashy was a necessity for the team chemistry, because when they didn't drop him in the offseason and decided to run it back, it just didn't work. It was an experiment and it failed.
Yeah.
So replacing Dashy, sure, that might be the best move moving forward. But I think hand in hand with that is going to be getting a different coach, or just moving JP up or something to being head coach. Like something. Let Rambo do the GM thing and let somebody else do the coaching. And it's literally the same reasons as what you're talking about with Dashy. It's the mesh with the team. It's the vibe. It's the fit.
Yep.
I'm not saying he's incapable of coaching. I'm saying his coaching style does not fit this team.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts.
Yeah.